Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Daily Casts. My name's Ed. Thanks ever so much for joining us this evening. Or afternoon, or morning. Shout out to the other side of the world. I hope the blood's not rushing to your head where you're upside down. Here's me on that screen. And what lovely art I've got in the background. I hope everyone's well today. It's quite an important article today. Just while I do this. Dreams. We've all seen it. And that pings out the message eventually. There we go. And quite an important article. Lots to talk about this evening. Written by June. Good evening, A&R Link Ping. Thanks for joining. New to the stream, I believe. Or maybe just joined once or twice before. Thanks for saying hi. Good evening. Joined this evening by a friend of mine from the Green Level Clearance Discord. If you haven't joined the Green Level Clearance before, join now. Links in the chat below. So I'm joined by my friend. I believe you are from the Austin region.
Yeah.
Is that correct? It's Slapdash, aka Ben. Ben, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, or afternoon, as it is here.
Afternoon. Yes.
Yeah. I'm in Austin, Texas.
Cool. And Ben, how did you get into the game? When did you get into the game? And how do I know you? And do you wish you didn't know me?
In reverse order, I am glad to know you. I guess we met in GLC.
Yeah.
How did I get into the game? I bought an OG core some time ago. Don't remember what the set that was coming out at the time was, but 3 or 4, somewhere in there. And I played with some folks at lunch at work a little bit, and then that was kind of it. Nobody else at work was super into it, and I couldn't get my schedule together to go to the local meta.
Sure.
And so then somebody was talking about it online, just mentioned Netrunner. I was like, man, that was a rad game. And I looked back into it and found out about Nisei, and somewhere there was a link to the GLC Discord, and everybody was very friendly. And so here I am.
Yeah. And you've been quite active in the sort of Discord community, haven't you? I think you're a big fan of kind of the lore side of things and the kind of the full complete package of the Android world. Would that be correct?
I in general, I think cyberpunk, as a genre, I like the political overtones and the I don't know, I've read maybe not all, but a vast majority of William Gibson's books and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I go in hard for the tasty flavor cards, even if they're not that great.
Sure. Yeah, no. Totally get that. And by trade, you've got something to do with linguistics, am I right in saying? Or is that just a side hobby?
Yeah, I have a degree in linguistics, but my day job is software engineer. So
sure.
but that linguistics degree. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, Ben, obviously the big news today, everyone. Big news today. Traces are no more. The sky is falling. We are never going to see traces again. It's the most exciting part of Netrunner. And Nisei have taken it away from us. They've hidden it in a cupboard under the stairs. Good evening, Mavrothi. I haven't shaved. Actually. As you can see here. I'm looking
skeptical.
stubbly. I have not touched my facial hair. I am not shaving until the 28th of March. As suggested by Mike. Shout out to Mike. Good evening. Sorry, I was on a little rampage. Nisei have taken our toys away from us. It's not fair. The sky's falling. And what are we going to do? Ben, was
Clearly,
that take the same as yours?
Yeah, no, this seems fine to me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, based on my vast experience playing thousands of games of Netrunner, which is false. Yeah, I think the assessment that like Trace's complexity to interestingness trade-off is not a great ratio is
Yeah.
also been my experience. I think especially when I was like first learning the game, it seemed like the kind of thing where there should be a lot of interesting decision points. But I feel like it just sort of doesn't pan out that way. Unless you're so new that you don't know whether it's the right move to like ruin your credit pool to like fend off some tags or whatever, or just let them land. But that feels like a like misplay trap more than a cool trade-off weighing. You know what I mean?
I do very much so. Someone, I can't remember who it was, but whoever it was said it very, very clearly and succinctly. They said the ratio of good from having traces to bad from the complexity. And so I think it might have been June in this article where they said, it gives you design points of complexity down the line. If you've got lots of complex mechanics, the game becomes very difficult to get into, very difficult to teach, and then very difficult to move forward. And I don't really understand how that works. By taking traces away for a short amount of time, by the way, trace isn't dead, it might come back. By taking it away for a short amount of time, that opens up it says it here, game's depth to complexity ratio. As you take that away, it lets you bring in other complex mechanics instead and more complex cards. And I think that to and fro, like this, gesticulating quite a lot this evening, I'm very het up about this, it is a great point. And look, in other famous card games, mechanics cycle in and cycle out. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Shout out to anyone that's played Magic before. When I played back in 2000, we had cycling back in the Urza cycle, Urza Saga and everything else. And I think cycling's just come back into MTG now. Look, it's gone. It's not forgotten. It can come back.
Yeah,
that's my rant on traces.
I do think that it would be nice if traces becoming less prevalent didn't mean that link was valueless when traces are uncommon. I think it'd be cool to see other things done with that. I don't think that has to be traces, but I would like for that part on the ID like layout to mean something still,
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening to Jen. Just reminded me that they hid Harry Potter in a cupboard under stairs, but they still found him. Good evening also to this, saying cycling's been back 5 times. And Keith saying cycling cycles. Yeah, my knowledge of MTG post invasion is pretty much non-existent until about a year ago, when it's kind of like vaguely on the radar from a design perspective. Link. So one of my favourite cards is Office Supplies in Brain and Reverie, because it uses Link in a different way, and I think it costs 4, and it's gain 4 credits or draw 4 cards. The cost of this card's reduced by 1 for each Link you have. Oh, that's a phenomenal card. Thank you very much, Dish. Yeah, mate. Cycling's been back 5 times. Things can come back, they can go. And that is a really interesting and exciting way to use Link. Imagine Hashiko, where you've got 0 Link and then you flip it goes to 1 Link. And so you've got Office Supplies or another card that uses Link in an interesting, different way. But you can't play it on the 0 turn. You have to play it on the 1 turn. You can only use this card if your runner has 1 or more Link, for example. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting design space to explore as a non-card game designer.
There's also the Cloud Breakers, right? They have a Link mechanic. Yeah,
absolutely.
So it'd be cool to have more stuff like that.
Yeah, like is it 0 MU if you have 2 or more Link? They take up 0 memory. I think it's something along those lines anyway. I'm not a massive Sunny player, but
Right.
Office Space I just think it's a really cool design space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we agree. And our link ping in the chat clearly doesn't agree, so Traces did nothing wrong. I agree, Traces probably... Look, it's not something I feel particularly strongly about, but I understand that it is the single most complex mechanic in the game, and I understand the decision, and I broadly support it. That's my thoughts on Traces. Let's get on to the cards. Ben, were you excited about today's cards?
Honestly, before I opened the article, I did not expect there to be card reveals in the article.
Okay.
So that was cool.
So just to confirm, every day through Scoop season, there is at least one card being revealed, even on the counters and dice or whatever it is day on Sunday. Joined by going to be joined by Akira from the Nisei OP team. So something really to look forward to coming on. Mr. Cowbird in the chat. At least XR rotated, so we can start making any kind of thematic sense of Link. Absolutely. Exile the street hobo, is that his subtitle? Having any
Street
kind of
Hawk.
link.
I just looked it up.
Street Hawk. Yeah, Street Hawk. Yes, no, I fully agree. Yeah, no. So 2 new cards today, Ben. First off, Neurospike. The maybe the less controversial of the 2 cards. So Neurospike, 3 cost, Operation Grey Ops. Do X net damage, where X is equal to the sum of the printed agenda points on the agendas you scored this turn. 3 influence, I think, is going to be very important there, so I will mention it.
Mm-hmm. I like the flavor text here because it sounds like it sounds like a slide deck for like an investor pitch meeting or like presenting to the board of directors or whatever. It's just like you can kind of see that those words sort of mean something maybe, but they don't actually, or like I love it.
Like my initial take, and this says in the chat, he says he regrets this flavor text. He hacked a long text down a bit too much. It's actually grown on me today because obviously I look over the cards as before the stream and have a think about what I'm going to talk about, and largely it's nothing at all. When I first looked at it, I was like, I can't make sense of this sentence. It doesn't make any sense. And it's exactly what you said. It's like it's a sales pitch for a card that's gonna kill you, or it's the Jinteki's Neurospike is surplus entropy is then gifted where it will do the most good, and it's gonna kill you.
yeah, most good for Jinteki, not for the receiver.
Not for the
plus
receiver.
entropy.
No, I'm a fan of the flavor text as well. Shout out, good evening to DND, DMDB. Everyone in the chat that's been a long time fan, and if I haven't done it yet, just shout at me in the chat. You might see a nice little diamond next to your name. Thanks ever so much for supporting the channel. And if you haven't followed already, follow down below. You get a ping when I come online, and I will give out diamonds. And the more people that talk, the more diamonds I can give out. It's really cool like that. And VIP, and I'm about 15 minutes away. About 15 minutes away of streaming to getting Twitch affiliate now. So thanks to everyone that's been supporting the channel. And
nice.
When I get a Twitch affiliate, there's all sorts of things I can do, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, right. This card. What do you think, Ben? What do you think?
Yeah. So I think this is interesting. There was some chatter in the like Austin City Grid Discord, which is like the local meta Discord, about like how do you actually land this in a way that's not just Ronin or something like that.
Sure.
And I was thinking like I have had some occasions where I've got like some shell game thing where I've got like 4 agendas on the board and I'm slowly advancing them, and maybe I could score more than one of them in a turn, and then this would be just devastating. But also if you're scoring 5 points or 6 points in a turn, like do you need to kill them, or do you just score out a sting later, or so I don't know. Like I think this is maybe a like see how it pans out in the context of the rest of the set kind of thing. But yeah, that's sort of a noob take too. So
No. I think it's basically what my take as well is that you have to change your scoring pattern, right? You can't just install advanced, and then next turn advanced. You have to maybe score over 3 turns, or you need some fast advance in there. Simply the Onion, good evening in the chat. I believe tracing was originally intended as a representation of investment from each side to find out / conceal where or who the runner is. Information gathering is, in my opinion, much more closely related to news agencies than forcing someone to pay out money or else. I don't disagree, and I think it's like it's payoff, right? How deep into the lore do you go? How thematic do you make the game versus the value of said mechanic? And it's a balancing act. And tracing hasn't disappeared forever. There may or may not be cards in startup, in the startup play format legality, that have tracing in them. There might be cards in system update that have tracing on them. They might not. It's not gone forever. It's just for a beginner set. I think the idea was let's leave that one be. So I think that's what's happened there. Back to Neurospike.
I saw someone in GLC mention like compare it to public agendas, right? Which are like sometimes the set will come out and there'll be a few public agendas, but then the next set has none, and like it's like a special thing. Sometimes you lean into, and sometimes you don't. That seems like an okay thing.
Yeah, I think someone called it like a deciduous mechanic rather than an evergreen mechanic. So an evergreen mechanic would be one that's printed in every cycle. Didn't we spoil Punitive already? Yes, we did. Punitive has probably my favourite art in it. I'm really looking forward to talking about Punitive. Back to Neurospike. I will do my absolute best. Yeah, that makes sense. I just worry about MBM maybe losing part of its identity. Hopefully we'll see cards in Gateway that sort of boost the identity and theme of MBN in a different way. Something to look out for. June, good evening. Thanks ever so much for joining. Loving your article today. We've talked 20 minutes and we haven't even got to the cards really properly. Quite a lot to talk about this evening. Chat's going mad. So yeah, Neurospike. Look, I like the fact that it changes the way that you score agendas out. I am very excited about having 3 agendas double advanced on the board with a couple of June bugs, an overwriter, a double advanced Ronin, and like come at me. And they're on a nose as a Neurospike. If they hit the wrong one, if they hit the wrong one, maybe there's bioethics out there as well. I almost played at Worlds. I tell this story a lot. I almost played my own like updated version of June's Brain Damage Association deck from 2016, 2017. Neurospike would be absolutely huge in that deck. It would be wild. Giles, good evening. Sorry, I was getting excited. Apologise. Alright, I'll stop drumming, everyone. I'm sorry. I need to get a hanging mic. Z-Bag, good evening as well. And morning, Giles. I think this card's cool. I think it's really cool. I know people don't necessarily like that kind of deck. That's fine. I like that kind of deck. And I also think it's importable in other places. A lot of people have been talking about CityWorks project. So install advanced CityWorks project, and you got Neurospike in your hand. Warning danger. Because that's going to cost you 4 meat damage, I believe. If you're in Argus, you've got to take that into consideration as well. and then slam down a Neurospike next turn. GG. I just think it's a cool card. Ben, are you going to be playing? Are you going to be playing this yourself? Thoughts?
I don't know. I do like a spiky Jinteki deck myself, so I will probably try to figure out how to make it work. Whether I can is another question entirely.
Yeah. No,
I also want to go back to a comment Dis made, I don't know, in the back scroll somewhere in this chat about the name. The name is dynamite. Like, I don't know. It's a great name. The artwork is choice.
Yeah, so it says this is saying, even though it's blatant plagiarism, I don't get the plagiarism there. What am I missing? Why is my lore not as good as it should be? Is it just a cool name? Oh, Ben, I lost you. Are we just having a think?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ben, hi. Yeah,
okay.
Sorry, got you back.
Cool.
Yeah, no, so I was asking, I missed the, this was saying in the chat, it said it's blatant plagiarism on the name. I didn't notice any plagiarism on the name. I don't know if it's something that you know, something that I don't know, Ben, or I'm about to be told in the chat.
Yeah, hopefully someone in the chat will say. But the only thing I can think of is the like giant plugs from the Matrix movies. But I don't know if they had a name.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or if not that, then something along those lines. Cool. Awesome. It's from an RPG called Lancer, a hacking ability. Okay.
Oh.
As someone who doesn't roll 20-sided dice ever, I'm afraid, I wouldn't have known that. I'm sorry.
Lancer's like a mechs fighting sort of anti-fascist RPG. It's the artwork for it is incredible. I've not much experience playing it or anything, but people should Google image search some stuff because the mechs are really wild.
Okay, I'm quite a big fan of mechs, so yeah, I might go and check that out after the stream. Cool. And then maybe the more controversial card today. Public Trail. Full cost operation Grey Ops. Play only if the runner made a successful run during their last turn. Give the runner 1 tag unless they pay 8 credits. Now we all recognise this card, right? Let me do a little. Don't click on the startup deck options that I shouldn't have left up. Goodness me. That is very, very, very not allowed to be seen. Close. C-Source.
Bad OPSEC, man.
I know. I was looking through what I've been doing with those decks in in testing, with those cards rather. So yeah, let's close that. I don't want to give anyone my secret tech. C-Source, 2 credits. Play only if the runner made a successful run. Trace 3. If successful, give the runner 1 tag. Ben, would you maybe call this card not Public Trail, but Ocean Source?
Maybe Fjord Source.
Fjord Source, yes. What's your thoughts, right? So obviously this is probably the most famous C-Source, probably the most famous trace card in the game. Certainly new players' introduction to trace. And this is a reprint, but it's different, right? It costs more. It's more impact for the corp. And it's got less words.
Yeah. I think like the way I look at the it costs more and the pay 8 is that it's like sort of baking in the decision about the trace. Like you boosted the trace too, or like you could look at those as the costs from C-Source plus the trace game just sort of like baked in, and you don't have to make those decisions. They're just on the card for you, kind of, which I think helps, like, especially new players navigate. I remember I tried to make a NBN tag based deck in the early days, and like never could figure out how to get C-Source to work. And I think in part because the trace would made it hard for me to sort of estimate what the cost to me and the cost to the runner was going to be in this situation. And this is a lot more straightforward and easier to reason about, I think.
Yeah. I agree. It's certainly easier. In the chat, Jen asking 8 seems a lot. DND, DMDB. I'm going to call you DNDN from now on. DNDN. You often have to pay 8 to avoid a hard-to-use /C-source. I think that's very important. Essentially, it's a 4 credit differential. You pay 4, the runner has to pay 4 more than you. It's a trace 4, functionally, that's not paid into. Is this more powerful or less powerful?
I do not feel qualified to answer that question.
On face value, because I do you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I've got absolutely no idea. While we're thinking about that, let's. What did I just join to? Breadbird1, good evening. Thanks ever so much for joining. We're talking about Nisei's system gateway cards. Today we had an article by the lead designer of Netrunner Nisei, June, and we're talking about changing the mechanics and a couple of new cards. It's bang in the middle of Scoop season. Thanks ever so much for joining. I hope you stick around if you're new to the game, and if you're not new to the game, then thanks for walking in. So, yeah, the flavour text just mentioned by Dis earlier, one of his favourites. A runner uses significant resources scrubbing their traces. Every cycle it's harder to pin them down, but the game changes. In Heinlein, no one can last a day without brushing our AR network. Which is actually really so meta, isn't it? Harder to pin them down, but the game changes. Very cool.
I also think that it's interesting that it's quoted, or the quote is attributed to Cassie LaRosa, who is the Lunar Defense Net Defense sysop. So, like, who's that?
Yeah.
That,
what have
like,
they got to do?
My flavor.
What have they got to do with MBN? I thought MBN was creating this like lovely new world for everyone. Like, you know, it was all very perfect suburbia.
Do you know, I just noticed, this is not a complete tangent, but I just noticed that next to the gateway icon and the number of this card are pluses.
Yes.
On other cards, I feel like we've seen little like lines.
Yes, so I think someone in the chat will answer this more correctly than me, but gateway comes in 2 parts. You have the deck build, the decks, like the kind of dual decks. They're not going to be called dual decks, but essentially dual decks. With extra cards that you can fit in. And then part B, if we scroll up to Neurospike, where you've got no symbols at the bottom other than the gateway symbol, you then get what they call the deck building pack, which is additional cards where you can then create your own decks. And I think, so you've got like a beginner deck in the dual decks, and then you've got an advanced deck with some additional cards. And I think the plus represents the additional cards and how many of them appear in the dual decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't realize that there was a 2 sort of tier. So that's cool.
Yeah. So a lot of people will buy the whole thing all at once, right? But say you had some friends who hadn't played Netrunner before. Thanks, Dish. Yeah, dots are ready to play starter decks, and the pluses are 10 cards selected as the first upgrade to starters. So you can buy these 2 decks, give them to a few friends at a lower cost, and say, "Hey, look, got this game. You might really enjoy this. Give it a try." And you've not outlaid too much. It makes it appealing for you to buy 2 or 3 sets to give out to mates, or like 5 or 6 if you're popular, or 1 if you're me. You know. But yeah, no, yeah. It makes it affordable for you as a Netrunner player to say, "Hey, try this out, mate. Let me know what you're thinking." So, which is really cool. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. I have to say that is particularly nice from my perspective because my 9-year-old, who, like most 9-year-olds, does not have a job, is into Netrunner, and so that means that there's like a price point that they may be able to buy into and not just use my cards.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. Yeah. It's just with some clarification. Both dots and pluses are in the starter pack, with cards with neither. So Public Trace is one of the advanced cards, advanced quote unquote, that goes into the starter decks as an upgrade. And then the gateway cards that don't have any symbols on them, they are in the separate expansion deck building pack. Clarification on that. It is a question that gets asked a lot. I've been trying to answer it the best I could. Hopefully. Cool cards today, huh?
Yeah.
I think Public Trail, we need to see support for it in Gateway, really. We need to see punishment for these tags. Because at the moment we've seen an ID that's going to give you back 2 credits or 2 cards to that tag. You pay 4.
Right.
The runner goes, okay, cool, I'll take the tag. You gain 2 credits, so you draw 2 cards. Okay, so it's cost you 2 rather than 4 for 2 cards or 2 credits. It cost you 2 for 2 credits. Come on. Right.
Yeah. I feel like even then, like that as a sort of floor experience when you're playing the ID and this together of like pay 2 credits and a click to draw 2 cards is not terrible. If that's like sort of all you get out of it.
Yeah.
But
it does certainly put the pressure on the runner. Like, have they actually got the kill? Have they actually got something that's going to trash all my resources? Have they actually got something that's going to swap the agendas over? One of my favourite cards, Exchange of Information. Shout out to Exchange of Information. Have they got it, or are they bluffing? And it's a big question to ask. So I find that interesting. I think it's really great card.
The other thing about it is it's just to influence, so we might see it splashed around some.
Yeah. So worth noting, obviously, Seasource was 2 influence, but cost only 2 credits. And Public Trail only 2 influence, cost 4 credits. But then arguably it's easier to land Public Trail. It depends. I think the jury's out on both of these cards, right? They're quite clearly going to be impactful. The question is, how much of an impact they'll have.
Yeah, and to your point, I think it was yesterday on the stream, it's hard to assess, a card in the vacuum without seeing what the rest of the field looks like.
Hey, listen, but it's fun though, isn't it? It's fun to have hot takes every day, and then a card comes out and it says you cannot be tagged, and the tag cards are bad, and then there's a card that says whenever you try and land a tag, remove all resources from the game, and people go, wow, tags are incredible. And until we see
just manufacture strong opinions, rouse some rabble.
Yeah. Giles in the chat, good question. How much of an impact will they have, meaning how much counter tech will be required? I think, if I'm honest, you pack in, make Ed the lead designer. Gee whiz. Not a good idea for anyone. I think, No One Home's going to be everywhere, isn't it? You're going to be playing No One Home. You good vendor? Man, is that card going to come back? I don't know. Is Paparazzi cycling? I think it probably is, to be honest. Probably rotating. The counter to Neurospike is to steal the agendas. Absolutely. Make sure you got the right amount of cards in your hand. Unfortunately, Beach Party's rotating. Paparazzi's rotating. Oh man, Beach Party's a good card. Be Adam, steal lots of agendas and have brain chips and Q Coherence chips, whatever they're called. Uroniev Mercs. I think I pronounced it right first time. Thank you very much. Uroniev Mercs. Again, a really great idea there. There are quite a lot of counters. And it just, I think, is going to create an interesting balance between how much tech you put in your deck versus how much good stuff. And hey, that makes decks versatile and different and interesting rather than everyone playing the same list, right? So, looking forward to seeing what people do with these cards and looking forward to seeing how impactful they are. Other point for today, Mr. Cowbird in the chat, how come when I play Making News, land value seesaws, everyone laughs? But Nisei prints value seesaws and everyone's scared. If you'd like to see Mr. Cowbird, aka Sanjay, playing versus the German 2019 world champion Pincel, it's on my channel. You can look at the videos and you can see Lemming Slayer versus Pincel, and 150 or so of you have already watched it. If you haven't watched it, it's one of the greatest games of Netrunner of all time. It's an absolutely fantastic game. It is Lemming Slayer Max versus Asa, and I think it's one of my top 5 games ever. And I was lucky enough to commentate it with my guest Ilse Orban last night. So do check that out. It's saved in videos. No one taking the hill seriously. Yeah, I think that might have been the problem. The audio does get better from the start. So if you watch the start and the audio is horrible, it does get fixed halfway through. So, Ben, anything else you wanted to talk about on these cards?
I don't think so.
No. Other news for today. This got leaked by Krembler. Krembler, one of the few Netrunner players that I've actually met outside of sort of my local meta. I didn't know they were Krembler until a lot later down the line. But this is Krembler, I believe, with Mean Lady as a kind of mashup. I think this is beautiful art. Ben, do you know what this is?
I do, but I don't think it's showing on stream.
Oh, the picture? The picture should be. Can you not see the picture? I can see the picture at my end.
I see public trail.
Maybe you're lagging.
Could stream. Be. Oh, now I see it.
I can see the art. Wow. Thanks ever so much.
That is some serious lag. Anyway, here's this picture.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot more lag than you realise, Ben. It's a lot more lag than you realise. It's like 30-second delay. Yeah. For those of you that haven't seen it, Giles, maybe you've just woken up. It's really lovely, isn't it? It's really lovely. Giles, you might not know what this is. Could you maybe guess what this card could be as you were sleeping while this card came out? What are we looking at? So, it looks like a shop of some kind. Staff are armed. Maybe that's a little hint and a nudge. We've got, it appears to be prepaid something being sold on a little stand. This is, of course, Aesop's pawn shop. Yeah, it's Aesop's. Just got in there in the nick of time, Giles, before I revealed it. I'll give you the win on that one, mate. Yeah. Man versus Stress. Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining. A celebrity. It's Legal Arms Factory. Legal Arms Factory, a reference to Aesop's flavor text. I think this is absolutely wicked art. I think it's really cool. Loads going on. Loads of little nudges and references. I believe the little posters in the window here are alt arts from Mean Lady. I thought they were Krembler alts, but apparently they're Mean Lady alts. Yeah, they're super cool. It's a great card, and it's lovely to get a second scoop, even a mini one. And my final question for this evening: should Aesops have been saved, or Aesops, or Aesops? Should we have saved Aesops, or should it have gone the same way tracing.
I feel like the way you put that is pretty loaded.
Arguably.
I have to say, I having played other people's deck lists that rely on an Aesop's like engine for cash, I have always struggled to figure out, like, to feel like that the engine's actually turning over properly, you know?
Okay.
And so I think I don't, like, I'm not getting it somehow, how it's supposed to like smoothly flow. But it could also just be like shaper problems.
It could be shaper problems. I have to say, I can't remember the last time I built a deck without Aesop's in it. It's my pet card at the moment. I'm loving it. Having avoided Shaper for the last 2 years of playing Netrunner, man, that card's so good in Adam. You set all your directives off. You got 9 credits. You start the game. With 9 credits on the table. Bang, let's go. Pawn Shop's wild. Giles saying, yeah, I agree. Slot's gonna be hard in town. Maybe Pawn Shop doesn't find the way there. Mr. Cowbird Ed coming in after the only functional Khan deck. I believe Mr. Cowbird won the store championship with Khan. Incredible. Aesop's Max. Bizarre. I didn't know that was a thing. Who knew? Yeah, simply the onion. So no Aesop's. Exactly. You need to kill good resources, aka Aesop's. I think it's a wild card. If you don't play it much, play it a bit more. I'm really glad to see it back. I'm really excited to be playing it with all the gateway cards. Hoping that I'm not playing Aesop's because the gateway cards are underpowered and undercosted, and I need to sell them because they're no good. Who knows? That's not a hot take. Like, I'm just saying, like, hopefully that's not going to be the case. Yeah. Ben, is there anything else you want to talk about this evening?
Actually, yes. Which is, I feel like it's worth a mention how much of a gift the net punning channel is in the GLC Discord. Everyone should go in there and enjoy yourselves. That's all. Public service announcement.
Do you know, that's a great shout. And actually, yeah, I agree. I've got net punning, actually. Net punning, one of the moderators in the GLC Discord, who's never played a game of Netrunner, but enjoys the lore, enjoys the world of Android, came into the channel, generally nice guy, and just started posting a pun a day. And
they're epic.
They're your kind of jokes, they're dad jokes. There's no two ways about it. Puts a smile on my face. It's around 12:30 my time every day, about half an hour after scoops, and you get a pun. Worth a laugh. And go and check it out. It's brilliant, and it's good, clean, free fun.
Yeah, I mind that shit for like when work meetings are having, like, we're waiting for someone important for the meeting to come on the call and there's dead air. I just pop into that channel and start reading them off, and my coworkers hate it, so I love it.
Yeah, my friends and family hate that channel as well. They get a pun a day. Ben, thanks ever so much for joining. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining as well. Tomorrow I've got a good friend of mine from the UK. He won a store championship with Omar. Not Rebirth into Omar, but Omar. It's Javi, aka Ian Thorpe, and he is very excited about everything that he does, but particularly coming on. If you haven't followed the channel before, follow the channel. You get updates on when I'm going live. And finally, the competition. I forgot to pull these out last night. Make everyone jealous. June saying, feel free to at me in Steam, Slack or GLC. If there's any follow-up questions. These are my own personal copies of Ilk Sporburn's playtest art. Have a look at these beauties. I had these weeks and months ago. You can win these. It's the Thanks for Trying award, judged by Ilk Sporburn in the competition. Art inspired by the system gateway release. Any of the cards, any of the characters, send me stuff. Ben, you sent me something yourself. I'm not going to spoil it today. Thank you for your entry. You can send as many entries as you like as well. I will judge them as one package. And we're playing for a range of alt arts, including exclusive ones you can't get anywhere else, and top prizes of playmat. So I look forward to seeing more entries. I've had double the amount I expected, +2, which is very nice. It is a lot. Thanks everyone for joining this evening. I'm going to go and get myself some dinner. Bye for now.
Thanks for having us, Ed.
Yeah. Take care, Ben. Bye bye.